Welcome to Mission to Inspire, where we share life experiences in our careers, personal lives, society, culture, religion, finance, family, and much more. Meet your host, Shola Ajibade, as she takes you on a ride to fuel your inspiration.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola, and we have a wonderful guest with us here today. His name is Vital Ahmed. Hi, Vital. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on our show. Thank you so much. Vital Ahmed is a motivational consultant, international speaker, and author. And he actually inspires the youth to transcend challenges, and he's here to talk about, well, the youth. I'm not going to go straight into it now because we're just going to do this or that just to know him better. So are you ready?
I am.
Okay, so I know that you are a speaker, an international speaker actually, and I know you travel all over the world. So I'm going to ask you this question. And I know that you're a youth minister. You're an author. You're a coach. You're doing everything. Oh my goodness. Where do you have the time?
I always say I don't sleep, I recharge. So just staying in the game and, following after the calling of my father. I guess that's what you could say.
Okay, so summer camp or mission trip?
Mission trip.
Mission trip. Okay. Contemporary worship or traditional hymns?
Contemporary.
Okay. Outdoor games or indoor activities? I think I know what the answer is, but
probably outdoor.
Okay, I know that. Bible study or small group discussions?
Small group.
Okay. Community service projects or youth retreats?
Community service.
Okay. Right. This one is going to get you. Pizza party or ice cream social?
Oh, pizza for sure. Pizza for sure.
Okay. Sports tournament or talent show?
Sports tournament.
Okay. Movie night or game night?
Movie night.
Worship band or choir?
Worship band.
Local outreach or international missions?
Local outreach.
Local outreach. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. So we'll give you a little bit of time to introduce yourself proper and just tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I mean, you throw out a lot of things, and we'll get into much of that because, I mean, we could be here for hours on end going through that. But I always like to say that at the core, I'm a writer. I learned to walk, and then I had a pen in my hand. I started writing at the age of 8, wrote my first book at 11, worked for, I was the newspaper editor for my high school newspaper, graduated from high school, went to college, was a journalism major at college.
Wow.
Came out of college, worked for the largest community newspaper and one of the largest community newspapers in the state of Texas, working in Northwest Houston, covering news and sports. And then I went directly into the sports online blogging, covering college football recruiting. That's where the Fox Sports, Scout, and Rivals.com came into my life. And so at the core, whether I'm coaching, speaking, doing curriculum, ministry work, all of it comes down to the fact of a pen and a pad. At the core, if, the greatest gift God ever gave me was my ability to be able to put pen to pad to be able to communicate with anyone. So anything you see on my website, social media, all that comes down to the fact that I'm a pen and pad kind of guy. And I keep that as outside of the Bible, that's my greatest weapon is my pen. And so everything just stems from that. So if one thing your audience can know about me is that I'm literally a hardcore writer, and that's what I do, and that's what I love to express myself.
Wow. So I know that you've authored 3 books anyway. So yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the books?
So my first book came out, I believe, 2011, 2012. It's been so long. My first book, which is Awaken the Baller Within, that book was built at a time when I was covering college football recruiting, studying covering athletes who were going from high school to college, and then covering them while they were in college playing college football. And over time, I got to get to know a lot of these guys who obviously played at the major Division I college football level, some at the lower levels, but and about a third of them ended up going to the NFL. But what I wanted to understand and know is what was the mindset behind their success. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing the touchdown passes, I'm seeing the sacks, I'm seeing the tackles, I'm seeing great and amazing things, catches, just running for an enormous amounts of yards, and just really racking up a lot of stats and really leading their team. And I wanted to know more about what led them to there from a mindset standpoint. And so Awaken the Baller Within was born, where I interviewed, around 100 athletes to be able to find out what was the common denominator between these guys. And quickly, I'll say that, these guys were servant leaders, for one. That was one of the things that came out of it. They had big goals and dreams that they wanted to accomplish. Very altruistic from the standpoint that they always were in the mode of doing what was best for the team more so than themselves. I think that was one of the huge things. These guys were servants. They definitely wanted to use their talents to elevate others and to elevate their teams, because many of them played positions in high school that they were not playing in college, which means they were playing somewhat out of position for high school and did what they needed to do to be able to help the team win, even though in college they were going to play a completely different position. And so that was the idea behind Awaken the Baller Within, to be a manual and life manual for athletes. And it ended up using sports as a metaphor to be able to help others through life. But at the same time, while it was for athletes, it had some real world benefits as well, because parents would buy the books for their kids, and their parents would actually read the book as well, and find out that they can become a better realtor because of it, become a better lawyer, become a better teacher, become a better someone in the medical field. It just really was a book about elevating your mindset to be able to do great and amazing things, almost the same way as Napoleon Hill made Think and Grow Rich. I did the same thing with the athletes. And so that ended up being really got me into speaking from that book. That book was pretty much the launch pad that brought me into the speaking profession, professionally and definitely on the local level as well. And then, of course, that was my first book. The second book is I Am More Than Enough, 3 Ways to Overcome the Fear of Your Own Reflection. And that book came during some more tragic times in my life as well. Really, it's really a book about personal responsibility, looking in the mirror and owning every aspect of your life, even if you didn't cause it. And so it was a real accountability, personal responsibility, and a gratitude book, to where, you look at what you have going on in your life and saying, okay, there's a mess I have going on here. Yeah. What is my role to clean it up? And what was my responsibility in creating it? And so you just own all of those things. And so we focus a lot on image, on seeing yourself as an overcomer and a winner, as opposed to a victim. Get you out of the entitlement mindset and get you more into the gratitude mindset, and saying, yes, I own all this stuff, but guess what? I get another chance because I'm still breathing. Yeah. And so we focus on that, making the changes and accepting the fact and responsibility of what's going on in your life. And that really it's a very short book, but like very surgical, gets right to the point. And then the latest book that just came out is titled Now What? 5 Steps to Get Up and Create the Most of Life, written in the middle of the summer of 2020. Regardless of where your people are across the world, there were some things going on in 2020 that maybe they remember. I mean, how could we forget? You say what?
I said, how can we forget? How can we?
No, you can't forget. It was medical, it was political, it was social, it was cultural, spiritual. It was all of these things wrapped in one. The thing that got to me is that I was tired of the conversation around what is owed to someone, what I deserve. I'm a big proponent on you earn, you deserve, you don't deserve, you earn. meaning you put in the work and you get the fruits of your labor. No one owes you anything, right? Maybe you could say your parents owe you to get you out of the house, maybe get you to graduate from, grade school, primary school, high school, whatever it's called across the world. But aside from that, your life is your responsibility. No one owes you a thing. You earn everything. You earn love, respect, money, all of those things. And now what focuses on 5 steps to get you out of thinking that someone is owing you something and get you to get out there and go make something happen. It's really a book that was written to propel young people who are coming out of high school or coming out of college and trying to do some great and amazing things. They're coming out of college and they're confused. And it's also for people who are much older and maybe they want to transition in life. Maybe they want to write a book. Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to launch a podcast. Maybe they want to change careers, maybe go back to school, even so much as starting a family. Like all of these major things to where it's like you can't continue life the way you are and achieve what you're going to do. And so now what focuses on 5 steps: reflect, decide, plan, seek, and act. All of those things are wrapped into one. They take you through 5 steps, and there's different strategies and sub chapters in there to where you can choose which one is most beneficial to you. We focus a lot on goals. We focus a lot on more personal responsibility, because if there's one thing, there's one common denominator that's in all of my books is I cannot stand entitlement. Like that just, I'm checked out on that. I'm all on the gratitude. I'm all on you get up, you own your life. No one owes you anything. Stop blaming your parents. Stop blaming society. Stop blaming government. Stop blaming any of these other things. No one cares enough to destroy you. You have to go out and go make your own things happen for yourself. And so that's the 3 books that I currently have published. And of course, as an author, you're always working on another one. Haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet.
Another one already.
There's always, I mean, you talk to any author's always going to have something else in the pipeline. If I look down here, there's notebooks on top of notebooks of unpublished books. And I just have to decide which one is going to be the one
to be published next. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for letting us know how you started writing the books and the reasons why. Thank you so much. And it looks like you're doing a lot of great work for the youths, because the books are kind of towards encouraging the youth anyway to get out and do something about their lives, and about us adults as well, who might be lazy, don't want to do something or change career, as you say. So thank you so much. Thank you. So where can we get your books?
So my books are on 33 different digital platforms. My publisher told me recently. So whichever one is your favorite bookstore, feel free to choose that option. And it can also ship internationally as well. We have some presses overseas, so you don't have to worry about not being able to have access to those types of things as well. The ebook is also available. If they want to get a quick preview of the book, it's available at booknowwhat.com. That's booknowwhat.com. Publisher made a digital copy available for those to check out. Hopefully they'll, patronize and go pick up the book, but you can go check out a preview copy of it at that website. And I believe all you have to do is put in your email address and it's easily downloadable right to your device.
Thank you. Thank you. And that information will be in the description and in the show notes anyway. So yeah, anyone that wants to get the book or get a preview, just go to the description of the show notes and get that book quick. So today we will be discussing about breaking barriers, building dreams, empowering youths to shape their destiny. So even your books is about that anyway.
Definitely.
So how do you inspire and guide these youths you mentor to look beyond their current challenges and circumstances and envision a future filled with possibilities?
Well, there's a many different ways. Obviously, a lot of my work, there's the mental performance side and there's the ministry side, which are now starting to come together. But the main thing we do is almost the same process of now what it's like, okay, where are we? Like what, if you could literally just snap your fingers, rub a lamp or whatever, and say, this is the life I want. What does that look like? Obviously, I want them to be somewhat realistic, like, hey, I want to, be a superhero and wear a cape and fly around. Well, that's not ideal, and that's likely not going to happen. But I want to find out from a career, from a life, from a family, from a social standpoint, like, what do you want? And so we start looking at that and we identify where they are. The first thing they have to do is they have to come with a level of belief. A lot of times these youngsters are just, I don't want to say they're confused, but they've been told so much that, there's so much you cannot do. There's something hindering you. There's, it's not possible. And just really just wanting them to almost think like a victim or servant class. And the first thing I try to do is just tell them, like, look, man, let's dust all of that off. Let's dust all these mistakes off. Let's get into some prayer. Let's dig deep. Let's know that you don't need to do this alone, but you do have to decide what you want, because no one can come help you if you don't have a decision on the table, because I don't know how to help you. If you don't know what you want, I can't help you get what you want. And so we identify, like, what do we want here? And so the process really is just empowering them to start making those steps towards things like, young man, hey, roll your shoulders back, keep your head up high, have a firm handshake. I know those things seem little, but they're not little in the sense of how you do small things is how you do larger things. And so I like to be able to look at these youngsters and identify what do you want to do and what are you talented at doing? Because see, sometimes what you truly want to do, it's not the season for that. Let's just say you want to go to medical school. Well, medical school requires resources and time, a lot of time. In the meantime, to be able to save up the money for medical school, you may have to go work at a fast food restaurant. You may have to go work at, a goods store, whatever that may be, Walmart, whatever. Like, you may have to work somewhere to save the money to do your dream. And so life comes in seasons. And so we like to make sure and have steps. So when it comes to empowering, that's really where I like to start, is to identify where we are and then start working in reverse to see about putting together a plan and a process to be able to work towards things to where every day that large, gigantic goal, you're making a small step or a large step towards that every single day, because you're fulfilled with you're purposefully moving and you're doing things to be able to take you to that place.
Right. Thank you for that. So how then do you encourage them to think creatively and explore alternative pathways to success, even when faced with seamlessly insurmountable barriers?
Can you rephrase the question just for a second? What was it? It was kind of had a couple parts.
Encourage youth to think creatively and explore alternative pathways to success.
Yes. So we look at, first and foremost, like, what skills do you currently have and how can those be used in the marketplace? Because, obviously I'm looking to create service-driven individuals. Service-driven individuals. Obviously, you provide a service. What problem can you solve? Even as young as 14, like, you may have something going on. I got teens right now who they can make bracelets. I got teens doing all sorts of things. I got some landscapers. I got some people making bracelets, t-shirt designers, video producers, different things like that. Like, what can you currently do? And some people are like, well, I can't do anything. Can you sell something? You can sell something that's already been created. And so when we start thinking about creativity, what can you currently do? Because everybody has something they can do that can earn some money. Because I encourage my teens to start making money, like, quickly. Like, and again, that's why I have, I got teens who are 14 years old who have already saved $1,000 for this year. So and because they're utilizing the skills they have. They, like I know I have some handymen. They're like, hey, they'll go to the elderly people in their community and be like, what do you need done? Picking up leaves, cleaning out gutters, taking out the trash, just being a handyman for them. And these guys are making a couple $100 a month, and so we start thinking creatively. You start thinking about, what do you do now that somebody else could need this for? Like, I recently heard there's a profession out there, people who clean mailboxes. Now, who would have thought of that?
Never heard of that before.
And we're talking about $50 to $75 a pop just to clean mailboxes.
Wow.
So the creativity. So I obviously am keeping my ear to the streets to be able to share different things like that. I just recently heard about that, but my teams do a multitude of things. We have a nail tech in our ministry. Obviously music producers who can, make some beats here and there. Like I said, t-shirt designer, graphic designers, playing instruments. It landscape, like, so we just identify, what are you already doing at your house that you can do at someone else's house, and just start where you are, because there's always so many different things to be able to contribute to the free market, right? 30 years ago, we didn't know we had to have smartphones. Now we can't live without them, right? Think about things like the Post-it note, right? The little things you hold on the back of your cell phone, the little thing for, to prop your phone up. Who would have thought that little piece of plastic would make someone a millionaire?
Yeah.
So getting them to think about these types of ideas, and we brainstorm when these, and we, work it in with the ministry, whether we're talking about, the parables, we're talking about the talents, whether we're talking about, the different trades that are represented in the Bible. It's like, hey, let's get after this. Let's make something happen. And so I just, I get them thinking, and they bring ideas, and then we unpack them, and we say, all right, let's put some legs to this and make it happen.
That is so interesting. Wow. You've got some very down to earth youths who will listen to you, knowing what our youths are like today.
Well, it takes time to build trust in the generation behind it. They need to know that you love them and you care for them. And then they need to be able to trust you, and you need to be able to show them that you're a reputable source. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight. I've been teaching them in the Sunday morning classes. I serve with them on Wednesday when they have different events coming on. We support them. We support them in the church and also outside of the church. And so when they know, and you can meet with them at different times. I'm mentoring some of them. They're bringing their situation from school, work, home, and you sit down and you invest in them, and they love you for that. And then they trust you. So when you can do that, when you lean in on those types of situations and do what you're called to doing by serving, it's not hard. It really isn't. Now it's difficult from the standpoint that they're still teenagers, and they're going to, drive you nuts with some of their decisions and their antics and some of the things that they say, and some of the, sometimes they get into trouble, and, you have to have some grace with them, and you love them through that, because basically you're a father to them, an uncle to them in a different type of way. And so you obviously have to have a level of discipline with them. And my teens know that. They know there's an accountability factor there. I'm here for you, and I'll be here for you, and I'll show you grace. But there is a trade-off. You will lean into the idea that we are here for you, and your job is to show up and be open to what the conversation is and the wisdom we're trying to impart into you. Right? When you start getting to the point where it's like, I don't want to hear that. Well, then now we have a situation. But over time, I've been at the place I'm at now 3 years in October, and we've made some amazing strides. I work directly under the youth pastors, one of the leaders, and kind of a go-to guy for a number of things, and I love that, because that is what I was called to do. I did realize that within the last 10 years that this is part of the calling. Like if I had a written assignment, a scroll sent directly from God of here, this is what I want you to do. I know this is on the list. And so he's shown me many times that through just life, like, we say, God revealed to me these things, and goodness, he's shown me in some very powerful ways that this is where I need you. This is the work I need you to be engaged in. And so I'm leaned in, and all cards are on the deck, and we're doing this.
Praise God for that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So how do you foster a supportive, empowering environment for this youth?
Supporting an empowering environment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Creating a space
where they can actually feel safe to dream bigger. So, a lot of youth, they dream. And like you said, some of our dreams are just not realistic. But you want them to dream bigger, that are realistic goals that they can set for themselves.
Yeah, we just leave the open door, like, hey, bring all the ideas. Ooh. Right? Because somewhere within your vast, big, gigantic balloon idea, there's something within there. And sometimes you just need to share that with someone and be able to unpack those things. And that really comes down to the idea that I share with them many times, that you do not try to figure out this thing called life on your own. We're really big on that. Like, you need a community, right? You have multiple layers. And it's just like, look, whatever you want to do in life, somebody in this church either does it or knows someone who does it, or is connected to somebody who knows how to do this. Mm-hmm. And so, but you have to be open, and you have to share these things. You can't, let me just try to, figure all of this out on my own. Hey, bring your crazy ideas. I welcome the crazy ideas, because I have crazy ideas. Like, bring them to the table. Let's put them down there. Let's put them on pen and pad, and let's see what we have here. Because if you can get them thinking creatively and in that way, when you bring it to an adult, and let's just say it, and this happens sometimes, Tina brings something to me, and I'm just like, man, I have no clue what this is about. But I always tell them, I was like, give me 48 hours, and I'll go see my resources and see what we have, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss that. Mm-hmm. And so just the supportive system is leaving that door open and always letting them know that you're there, and we're going to find a way to get you started on a path of fulfillment, of purpose. That's the main thing. Youngsters are taught to just be robotic and just be almost drone-like when it comes to certain things, not to think outside the box. I mean, what do you think the school system is? The school system is very, industrial in the way it does things. It doesn't teach you to think creatively. It don't even teach you how to deal with money. So, like, they come into the world just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Right? And we take it down to the elementary level. We just got through with a youth conference recently, and we had breakout sessions. One was to identify God's calling. Another one was to gear up with the armor of God. The other one was how to read the Bible effectively. And then I taught on money matters, what to do with a dollar, what to do with your dollar. How does a dollar break down for you? And so all of these things are resources we make available to them. So they are supported at many different levels, how to read the Bible, how to pray, how to do all of these different things. And all these things are important. And so that is where we are able to utilize what we have and pour into them, because if we don't pour into the future, we don't have a future.
That's true. That is very true. Thank you so much for that. Last question. From a Christian perspective, your mentoring, what strategies do you use to bring them on board? The youths.
You said when I'm mentoring them?
Yeah. What strategies do you use? How do you do it? Because youths generally I've got children.
Well, first and foremost is that they need to know that they have someone who's in their corner supporting them. That first breaking of the ice, sometimes it can be a little bit tense, because, they're reluctant to want to hear. It's like, okay, are you going to be just like my parents? Or are you going, I've heard this before or whatever. But, it's almost like you interview them without them knowing you're interviewing them. You find out like, hey, so, how's things been going for you? Like, how's school? You have a favorite subject? What do you do? What do you do when you're not in school?
Mm-hmm.
And you just ask them certain discovery questions and really just sort of peel the layers back. Hey, what's your family like? Do you have siblings? And what'll end up happening is between 4 or 5 questions like that, it'll give you the pathway to get in. Because some of them might be like, hey, I got a job. I my dad's on the road a lot, so I take care of my 2 younger siblings, and so now we have an opening. So now you're talking to someone who has responsibilities that's a little bit more than just being a child, right? And that's a good thing. Like they have a level of maturity. So now we can lean in and be like, okay, so what are you doing to earn money? And she'll share with you some things. And it's like, hey, have you, you're in this profession. Have you ever considered this? Maybe we can do some things here, like, and you start looking into even, hey, what are your responsibilities at home? Because I'm really big on encouraging youngsters to take some of the responsibilities from their parents off the table and lean in on those. Like, hey, why don't you find one thing your parents do for you? And for a month, you take that responsibility, whether it's cleaning your room, washing clothes. I encourage young men to go, take their parents' car and go get it washed sometimes. Just go do it out of nowhere. Because I like the idea of expressing the gratitude. And I'm really big on the honoring your father and mother. Really big on that because, parents put in a lot of work, and sometimes kids are not so appreciative of the work that's being put in. And so I want them to be a little bit more intentional in supporting their parents. I want them to take on, I don't want them to just totally be like grown adults, but I do want them to gain a level of maturity, because when they step up and become more mature in the home, it allows the parents to see that their child is growing, and they'll give them some responsibilities and also some perks where it's like, hey, I'll let you go hang out with your friends a little bit more doing at this time. And it just opens up the avenue to where your parents have more trust in you because they're seeing you mature. And so for me, I like to utilize those type of strategies to open up the dialogue so that we can really start unpacking and getting you to a place where we're having future conversations. Hey, you're a sophomore in high school. What are you going to do post high school? Like, start asking them probing questions that maybe they haven't thought about, but you love them enough to be able to be like, hey, if you haven't thought about this, hey, let's sit down and talk sometime. Let's meet up here at the church. Let's meet over in the cafe. Let's meet before service starts. And let's just sit down and have a 5 to 7 minute conversation. And when you start doing those types of things consistently, you build the trust, and then you become like a secondary parent. You become like a ministerial father or mother to them. And that just makes so many inroads in their lives, because they're buried into these things and they just don't have a lot of human contact. So when you engage with them, they want to put the phone down and have a conversation with you. And once you can get to that point, then now we can start breaking some of those barriers down and breaking down these walls that society is trying to put between us all, these hardcore concrete barriers, and saying like, okay, this is your little bunker right here. You stay in there and you figure it out, and you don't need to bring anyone else in. Don't try to show vulnerability to anybody. That's nonsense. Mm-hmm. We're not meant to be lived alone. And because this generation has been taught that so much, which is the reason why all the mental health issues are going on, we have to overstep that. Like, we have to be a little invasive. We need to push a little bit, break some of those walls down. I know people are like, oh, I don't want to violate their privacy. No, violate their privacy. Come into their world, break those barriers down, have some conversations, and be intentional with it. Like, focus in on them 2 to 3, like if you're in a crowd of a bunch of them, man, 2 to 3 minutes, do you know what that will do? If you ask 2 to 3 probing questions and break those walls down and bring them in, give them some love and say, you know, I love you, I care for you, come reach out to me if you need something. Eventually they will, but they got to learn to trust you first. And they got to know that you mean well with them. And I think when we stop thinking about like, well, what are they going to think, or well, how are they going to react? I mean, yeah, some of them are going to be like, oh, I'm not really interested. Yes, but the other 80% are, right? And you keep working even on the 20. And so that is one of the main things I do, is just to really lean in, press in, because I do want to see them succeed, because it hurts me to see youngsters fall through the crack because they made bad decisions that ended their lives in some kind of way. To me, to lose young people is one of the most painful things that you can ever have happen in society. And whereas I know that we are going to, but it's like, if I can prevent just one at a time, then I'm here for it, you know. And in my life, I think it's been about 4 young people who have died, who I was connected to directly. And I have those names and people etched on my heart. And so when I'm going and I'm leaning in, it's like, I want to do all I can to ensure that if it's even any bit of light I can shine in their world, I want to be able to do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So lastly, Vital, we just need your inspirational advice for our listeners out there listening to you today.
Oh man. If I had to lean on one thing, I would say, you know, let's get back to what created us from day one, to where we're serving, loving, and empowering one another. I know that the last couple of years has taught us to kind of disconnect, you know, be distant from each other. But that's over. And it's time for us to get back to where we're back doing the community things. Get out of your homes, get off your phones, and go meet with people. Get you a church group, get you a community group, get you some hobbies, play a sport, get to the gym, connect with coworkers outside of the office. We have to get back to where we are sharing things with one another. A lot of times the issues we are going through, we can do better off by not holding them to ourselves, but sharing them with others, because many times the blessing you need is already within the circle you have. You just haven't opened your mouth. So many times I see people who open up on something that's been going on with them for months, and then they open up and it was just like, we could have dealt with this a long time ago, because man is not meant to be lived alone. Life is not meant to be lived alone. Open up, love one another, serve with one another, and let's get back to what made us all great and what made us all prosperous. Let's share with one another. Let's pray with one another. Let's worship together, and support. Support is needed right now. We don't need overpowering and overarching governments to take care of us. We could take care of each other and do it just fine. These community centers, go volunteer somewhere, be with people, serve, and just take care of one another. I just think we need to get back to that. And I'm being redundant for a reason, because we have to put these devices down. That is a community, but it's not the community. The community is connecting one-on-one, shaking hands, giving hugs, working in the trenches with one another, serving meals, and just being in each other's presence. And you asked me earlier about small groups. Get in small groups, whether it's men, women, Christians, people who have a hobby together. Sit down with one another and just start a conversation, and just look and say, hey, how are you doing? And then just open the floor with that. I know it seems so simple, but life's greatest things are that simple. Let's get back to what we need to do. to repair some of these things is not going to happen overnight. But what it's going to start about, it's going to start from that small group in your community of 4 to 5 people. It's going to come from that and then take it to a larger place of the church, to the hospitals, to the community centers, to the nonprofits, to the corporations, to where we just start small and then grow from there. And I think a lot of great ideas will come from that, and a lot more of taking care of one another. You know, somebody gets downsized from the job. Somebody has a death in the family. Somebody is looking to get out of the darkness they're in. You go be the light for them.
Yeah.
Go share that light with them, right? People are yearning for that. And if you didn't notice that coming out of COVID, get out of the house and go see how there's so many people just waiting to get a hug from someone, somebody waiting to get a handshake from someone waiting to hear, hey, how is life going for you? And is there anything I can do to support you? Is there anything I can do to pray for you? Is there anything I can do to be able to make this season better for you? Right? And when we can start and open up our hearts like that, I would challenge everybody, go find 1 or 2 people and do that and see how life changes for you and changes for them. Right? Because when we plant good seeds in good soil, things have a beautiful way of just showing up and making things happen. So I would encourage somebody, get out of your house, stretch out, as our church says, step out from the aisles, come on down here and agree with our, like, just get out and go share with one another and go serve and love. And I think that that's the start of a great and more promising future.
Oh my goodness. What a great advice, great inspiration advice there. Wow. We just have to get out, go out there, greet somebody, talk to someone. Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed the conversation with you today. We've really enjoyed all the tips, the advice, everything, sharing your story. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me as always, and bless all of your people out there. They feel free, they can send me over an email, give me their thoughts. If they have any young people who are struggling right now, send me an email. We'll get some resources out there for them, set up a call, maybe quick coaching session of that nature. We're here for them. And some of you parents, if it's been a rough season for you, send me over an email. We'll find some resources and we'll get you to a place where we can, maybe help you wake up the following day feeling a little bit better than the day before. And to me, that's a good start.
That is a good start. So how can people connect with you on social media?
Ahmed Vital. Ahmed Vital. It's AhmadVital.com. It's Ahmed Vital on all the social media platforms.
Okay.
They can reach out to me, direct message, email, info@AhmadVital.com. Looking to hear from a number of them in whatever scenario you're going through. And I don't think that any issue is too big. I'm not one of those people who feels like he can solve every problem. If you come to me with a particular issue and I'm not able to, I'll do my best to find you who you do need. I will use my network and say, hey, here's a situation that this gentleman is dealing with. Do you know somebody who can deal with this? And I love nothing more than giving a referral and sending someone to go get the help they need, because I don't have all the answers. I know what I know, and I assist where I can. But sometimes assistance is knowing that you're not the right person for them. And so I want to get you in the right direction and get you the help you need, because, hey, you're part of our future as well. And you are important in society. And we want to make sure that you are at a place where you can find some fulfillment in life, find some purpose in life, and, put yourself in an opportunity to be able to help others as well.
Yay. Oh, yeah, youths out there. Can you hear that, please? Don't sit on your butts. Just go and connect with him on the social media. Even parents, if you need help for your kids, you need someone to coach them, mentor them in the right direction, in a Christian way, in a godly way. Ahmed is there, Vital Ahmed. Please get in touch. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. And it's goodbye from me and from Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Mission to Inspire. Subscribe if you have not already done so. Like, comment, leave a message. Let's stay connected. Let's jointly inspire the world.